Hello, this is George Demaree, your host of Your Money Matters. We're about to kick off our third season of Money Matters. We've talked about so many things over the last 2 seasons. We talked about how to look at your money from a biblical perspective. We mentioned about critical thinking, that nothing changes until you change how you think and how you think about money. We've even talked about what to do during retirement, things like Social Security, and how to make a decision on when to take your Social Security and the penalties if you take it too early. But this season, we're going to kick it off targeting young people. We want to target our teens and young adults to give them information about money and the importance of being financially literate. Remember what we do at Money Matters. We want you to be financially literate. We want you to think critically about your money. We look for ways of improving your credit score, and we always spend a few minutes about getting out of debt. Debt, remember, is a part of slavery. That when you're in debt, there are certain things that you cannot do. Remember, when you can handle your money, you have options, and when you have options, you have power. So, let's start by this. What is financial literacy? Well, it's a possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allow an individual to make informed decisions about their money and how to use their resources. It's the ability to understand and apply different financial skills effectively, including personal financial management, budgeting, and saving. You should always look for ways of saving money. Remember this, never spend more than you make. A lot of times people will spend more than they make, and guess what happens then? That's how you build up debt. Remember, these major credit card companies, have you ever seen them in small buildings? Have you? They're all in big luxury buildings. That's because they're living off the interest that you're paying on debt. We're going to spend some time on that over the next two series. This is going to be a 2-part series. One which the first part is going to be more the basics of the reasons why you should be more financially literate. And then we're going to give you some rules of thumb next week on what to do. And I think that information is very, very powerful as well. So again, why financial literacy at a young age? Well, our educational system doesn't do a good job of teaching just basic money management. I believe it should be part of the curriculum. I believe if they're teaching you math, science, history, social studies, that there should be a required class on how to handle and manage your money. It's the reason that the great majority of Americans, regardless of ethnicity, are financially illiterate. It helps to influence your decisions. Remember that debt is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Now think about that. Even when you have great credit, I am always getting something from some bank wanting to lend me money. There's just a lack of financial literacy and thought in our schools, and our teachers aren't teaching it because most of them just don't understand it. Do you realize that 70%, now I got this from Go Banking Rates. If you look it up, you can find it yourself. And most of this information I get, just look it up. It's tons. If you want to be more financially literate, there is so much information on the internet. It is incredible. Don't take it all. Use critical thinking and use what you can use. But this is what they said. They said 70% of graduates have little or no financial literacy. Wow. Here's some more reasons. In 2019, before the pandemic, they said 69% of all Americans didn't have $1,000 saved. But that's reasons why we want our young people to be financially literate, and that 45% had no money saved at all. Now, remember this, family and friends. The first person that takes your money, we're going to talk about taxation in this show, but the first person that takes your money, the first entity, is the federal government. They take a percentage of your money before you get it. The next person that you should pay is yourself. You should automate your savings. You should put money away if it's only $25 a paycheck, but put money away for a rainy day. They said, well, what are the reasons? 38% of folks said they wish they had a higher salary. Well, a lot of reasons why that people do not handle their money properly. Another thing that I discovered is that many, many times it has nothing to do with how much money you make. Some people, no matter what they make, they'll spend what they have. If they make $1,000, they'll spend $1,100. If they make $10,000, they'll spend $11,000. Don't do that. So let's go over some financial literacy information for teens and young adults, but I hope your parents are watching this too, because these techniques you can use, this information you can use for the rest of your life. It's once you understand how things work, then you can better use that understanding to help you to live a better and more productive life. First of all is budgeting. No matter what I look at, no matter which financial advisor I'm talking to, they all say the same thing about budgeting. Know where your money is going. Plan every dollar. Now, it takes discipline. I was just talking to a person on staff just earlier today, and she says, well, George, that's really hard. I said, it takes discipline. To plan every dollar takes discipline, but either suffer the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of disappointment. You've heard me say that a number of times. If the money is not planned, don't spend it. That means don't buy on an impulse. She also says, I always buy on impulse. Well, if you're going to always buy on impulse, you'll always be broke or you will always be in debt. Use a spreadsheet. Write down on one side of the spreadsheet the amount of revenue coming in, on the other side of the spreadsheet where you're going to spend your money. The next term we're going to talk about that is very, very important is interest. Under young people, young adults, old adults, understand the importance of interest. Interest can be your biggest enemy, and interest can be your best friend. Well, how can that be true? Because there's a thing called compound interest. Well, what does that mean? Compound interest is interest on top of interest. That's what it is. It's simply interest on interest. It's how money grows and how much of your savings grow. It's how, when I said that money grows exponentially, that's what it does. So for an example, if you're saving $1,000 and you're getting 10%, at the end of the year, you have $1,100. If you're getting 10% again, then you got 10% of 11. That's how money grows. But on the other side of the coin, that's what they use to keep you in debt with credit cards. Because every credit card company uses compound interest. It's interest on top of interest. That's when you pay, first of all, always pay your bills on time. Paying your bills on time tells people that you're a person of your word. And if you don't, you will lose power, because there will be a time you will need to buy something on credit. Most people can't pay cash for a car, for an example. But compound interest that's on top of money. So never, at least pay minimum, but try your best to pay your credit card bills off every month, but never just pay minimum payments. The cost, and remember, now what's the cost of money? The cost is based on how much money you borrow and how much you hadn't paid. Now, I've noticed, because automobiles these days are costing they're going a lot of money. The auto industry is hot right now. And the average cost of a new car is right around $40,000. And now I've noticed that people are trying to get you to extend those payments for 72 months. Well, the bank wants you to do that. That's good news for the bank, because the longer the term, the more you'll be paying them, so they can keep building those big buildings that you see. Try your best to reduce the amount of interest and understand what interest is, young people. When you are buying an item and you're buying it on credit, the first thing that you're buying is the money to buy the item. Don't buy the item, don't buy the money at 10% when you can buy the money at 3%. Well, how do you do that? By having good credit. Term number 3 that you should know about as a young person is insurance. Everybody needs insurance. Gotta have it. There are basically 5 insurances that you will buy probably during your lifetime: life, home, health, automobile, and disability. Starting with life, there's a lot of ways you can buy life insurance. I am not an insurance professional. All I can tell you is based on experience what I would do or what I wouldn't do, based on experience. There are things called term life insurance policies. A term life insurance policy is exactly what it says. It lasts through a term. The other insurance policies are like whole life insurance policies that are usually a little bit more expensive, but they never run out as long as you keep paying the premiums. And some of those accounts, after a while, you won't have to pay them. I have an account myself that after I've had it for, 15 years now, I don't even have to make a payment on the premium, and I still have the insurance. Then I have another friend who had term insurance, had $1 million in term insurance, but when he turned 75, he lost it. Now he doesn't have insurance. So maybe you don't. Maybe the early years are more, the need is larger than a lot of years, but you need to talk to an insurance professional as it relates to your life insurance, homeowners, health. You've got to try your best to have health insurance. One bad accident could put you in financial ruin. That's why it's important that you can be in a position to buy some health insurance. And your auto insurance, tell you what I do. Now, I bid it out. I bid it out every other year. Sometimes I get better rates, sometimes I don't. But I'm not loyal, not long-term loyal to any company. I am more loyal to my money than an insurance company. Now, that's just based on experience. Next term that you just got to know, for young people just have to know, is credit score and the value of having a good credit score. Credit scores go from 300, very low, to 850. From 300 to 850. For 2 seasons, I've shared with everybody, your goal has to be a minimum of 700. It'd be great to get it to 720, but a minimum of 700. If you can get your credit score to 700, more times than not, you can buy money at a competitive rate. Let me tell you what that looks like. A $500 credit rating and you had to go and buy a car, and the average cost of a used car now is $20,000. But let's say you only spent 15. But now you got to pay 12, 13, 14% because you have a 500 credit rating, compared to a 700 credit rating at 3% over 3-4 years. That money over here, remember you're paying for the money. That money over here is costing you less than $2,000 over 4 or 5 years. This money over here at 10 to 12% is costing you $6,000 or $7,000. Don't be a person who don't want to hear the phone ring because you're not paying your bills on time. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Do not buy on emotion. Use critical thinking when you're making decisions. Now, again, your credit score is from 300 to 850. There are basically 3 different credit reporting agencies. It's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Every person that extends you credit sends information to one of those 3 credit bureaus, and that's how you get a credit number. Now, I just called a few credit card companies on, should an 18-year-old get a credit card? Only if their parents are helping them and they have discipline. I believe establishing credit early can be a benefit as long as you just don't take those credit cards and run them up and don't pay them off every month. Don't pay it. Next term, for young people, lifestyle. Your money many times depends on the lifestyle that you live. Stay healthy. Eat right. Continue to work out. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. That has a profound effect on how you will deal with your money at a years to come. It is important, young people, to live a healthy lifestyle. To walk around, even adults, to walk, to watch what you eat, and don't eat the second piece of chicken. All right. You live a very healthy lifestyle. Next thing I want you to be aware of for those going to college. I believe in college. I more believe in putting yourself in a position to be successful. You can put yourself in a position to be successful or not successful. It does not require college, but college is a great option. College is a great option. But remember, the average person, the average college graduate right now graduates with $35,000 in college debt, tuition debt. I've said this many times on this program. I think it's a shame that there is $1.4 trillion today in outstanding college debt. Now, why can we not put our young people in the position that if they're willing to work and they're willing to have a 2.5 grade point average, that we can help them to the point where they can have a college degree without having debt. But again, I said it doesn't require a college. It requires putting yourself in a position to be successful. College is one of those ways of doing it. The other way is trade schools. Trade schools work, and people, listen to me, young people, people make an above average living as electricians, plumbers. I discovered a few months ago that the elevator repair people make on an average $80,000 a year. Who knew? That's because people don't look. There's ways that you can live an effective lifestyle. And finally, also the service is not, in my opinion, it's not a bad option. Many times you can go to the service and then the service will pay your college. And if you want to make a career of it, if you go in as a 20-year-old, at age 40, you can retire. So there's a lot of good things also about going to the service. All right, borrowing. Only borrow for things that you need. Never borrow for things that you want. Things that you want, you pay cash for. You just got to. Only borrow for things that you need. If you gotta have it, you have no way around it, that's the only time to borrow. Before you borrow, always look for other means of income as well. And when you do, shop interest rates. That's why I believe it's good to start creating a credit number, a good credit rating at an early age, and someone teaching you how to handle that so you can have a 700 credit rating, and when you do need to borrow, you can buy at a very competitive interest rate. So let's go over some other principles that I think are very important for young people and adults, all right? Start saving. We started this conversation talking about saving. Save, save, save. Pay Uncle Sam first, you can't do anything about it. Next, pay yourself. Use automation when saving. Use automation. Don't do it where $25, $50 every month goes into some savings fund. Make it so it's just part of what you do. Make it so it's like paying a tax, but you're paying the tax to yourself. Do that. Another term that I want to share with you guys that's very, very important for young people, and most adults don't understand as well, and that's taxes. Taxes. How much do we pay in taxes? Understand that the federal government will take a percentage of every dollar that you make first. It's like, tell you what it's like. It's like ordering a pizza. You got a large pizza, and when you bring it home, 2 slices are gone. That's what taxes do. You know, you make your money, but when you look at the net amount, 2 slices are gone. That's just what happens. We have what we call a progressive tax system. I want you to understand this, young people. A progressive tax system, which means the more money that you earn, right, the higher rate of taxes you will pay on that money. Let me give you a quick example of that. We're going to finish some of this during next week's broadcast, but let me share this with you quickly. Again, the more you earn, the higher your tax liability. And this is only for people who are single. I didn't do this for married folks because this was targeted toward teens and young adults. If you earn $14,000 or less, you pay 10% in taxes. This is the tax code. This is a current tax code that we have. If you make up to $53,700, you pay up to 12% in tax. If you make up to $85,501, you pay 22%. If you make $163,000 and a little more, you pay 24%. If you happen to make over 207 is 32%, and then everything over 518 is 35%. Now, some people really understand the tax code and know what to do in order to take deductions where they won't pay as much as they're supposed to as relates to the tax code. That's why it's important to understand taxes and where it goes. For an example, If you happen to be a person that made 53, well, you got to watch it, because you go up to 54, all of a sudden your taxes go up another 2%. So there's ways of handling it. Remember, the taxes you pay out of your paycheck, this is another piece of information. It's really important. They're only estimates. They're only estimates. So when they take money out of your paycheck every week or every month, depending on how you get paid, the money they take out is an estimate. That's the reason it is important. That's the reason it is important that you understand that when you get a tax return at the end of the year, it's not the federal government giving you any money, it's you getting money back because you paid too much in tax. So you got to understand that every time you pay taxes on your check, it is an estimate, and is the reason you had to file a tax return at the end of the year. If you don't pay enough, then you got to write them a check. If you don't, you get a return. So do you want Uncle Sam to hold your money for a whole year, or do you want to hold your money yourself? Well, that's all we have today. But I have so much more information to share with young people, and let me tell you what I'm going to give you next week. I'm going to give you some more rules of thumb about money. It's more how to handle money when you have money. The first thing I'm going to share with you is that, now check this out, money is made through a crisis. I'm just going to leave you with that, because I know you're going to wonder, well, how is money made through crisis? Tune in next week, and I'll share that information with you. So thank you. Thank you. I hope this has been helpful. I've had so many people at church stop me and say, George, your information is great and it's helped me so much. And it gives me enthusiasm to continue to do research and bring information to you. And remember, at St. Stephen Baptist Church, God loves you, and so do we.